Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of The Suited Shootist, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the finer points of drawing from a tucked-in dress shirt. I have touched on this before, but I wanted to kind of consolidate a few things into one video. I will jump off by saying this does work regardless of if you are doing a traditional belt-mounted holster or if you're using the PHLster Enigma like I am here today. So either way, something on this is going to be relevant to you. So let's go ahead and jump in because there's a few things that I want to touch on. First thing, fabric. Not all shirts are the same, and especially unless you are a bit of a clothing geek, you're not necessarily going to be conscious of this. I've talked about it before. Most of your casual clothing is knit fabric that stretches. Most of your dress shirts are woven fabric. It doesn't have a lot of give to it. That can be a bit of a challenge, especially if you are looking at a draw technique that requires rotation of the hand, and here's why. If I'm grabbing my shirt and rotating, it's gathering up and it's cinching up material. Well, if this material doesn't stretch, depending on how the garment actually fits you, it may limit how much movement you've actually got, as opposed to just grabbing and clearing. So you're gonna have to figure out exactly how that plays in, which means you're either gonna need to train in your dress clothing or go to Goodwill, spend 20 bucks and get a pair of pants and a shirt that you can kind of tear up with some of this, because if you do it enough, you're gonna start messing some clothing up. So better not to do it with your real nice stuff. So that's number one, is fabrics don't stretch, so beware of how much you are maybe cinching up the fabric with your draw technique. It can matter. I'm going to take a step back now because this also plays in to the next part of this. Shirt length is important. Now this one, honestly, is long on me. It's a tall. No idea why I bought a tall. This is part of my training wardrobe now for that reason. But when you look at it, that hangs well below my butt. Why is this important? Well, if I go to draw, you can see that fabric is hanging up under my ass cheeks. And so if I just put the shirt on normally, put my pants over top of it, that is going to limit how much travel I get from here. So I would either pay to have this altered and have this rear shirt hem brought up, or when I'm tucking it, I would just make sure that it doesn't come more than maybe about halfway down my ass. That's another big factor of it. Some folks like the idea of keeping the last button undone. It can certainly work. Just bear in mind that if you're going to go that route, and honestly I do this anyway, you want to make sure that you're not grabbing center line. You're actually grabbing off to the side where the gun is. You want to be grabbing over the gun and reaching, as opposed to center line and reaching, because if you get just enough of it off, you kind of still have a problem here. You see what I'm getting at? So if you are going to run this kind of configuration, whether you do the bottom button or not, grabbing on the gun side, making a fistful of material, and then coming up is what I found to be a little bit more consistent. Now, one other thing that I want to touch on here. Sometimes if you're wearing a tucked-in shirt, you're wearing a tie. Whenever you're dealing with going and grabbing and clearing, don't try and miss the tie to go and just grab the shirt. If you're going to do it, grab everything and get it out of the way, because I've had this happen before where I just clear the shirt, I get the pistol out, and then as my hands are coming together, this happens. And thankfully, when I did this live on the range, it didn't impact the cycle of the gun, but quite literally, as I was pressing, I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting. So if you are wearing a tie, make sure that you are grabbing that as part of the equation and getting it up out of the way, because otherwise, if you're not controlling it, it's going to find a way to work its way into you building your grip around the gun. Those are the big ones. When it comes to a one-handed draw, this is one of the reasons why I am in agreement with John Valentine about preferring a higher sweat guard on a holster, because it allows me to tuck the shirt behind to give me more unencumbered access than if I try and do the elbow pin. They both work. I've never had the crescent fail, because even if it doesn't stick, it's not going to fall back to the path in the gun, at least from what I've had happen yet. I've had the elbow pin fail me. Haven't had the crescent thing fail me yet. If it does, I'll let you guys know. So those are really the major factors. Beware of your fabrics. Make sure your shirts are the right length. Grab off to the gun side, not center line. And if you're wearing a tie, make sure that that is part of the whole equation as well, because otherwise it's going to find its way into the equation where you don't want it. So what did I miss? I know I do have some friends in law enforcement specifically who like to actually have a little grab tail of their shirt, or who feel that actually having the shirt tail hanging out above the waistband is a nice little grab and kind of a little hack. I'm not sold on it, and my concern is that having that little flippy shirt tail right where the gun is might attract unwanted attention. I don't have anything to back that up. It's just kind of a gut feeling, but it's one of those where you're deviating from what people are expecting to see. So, are you guys doing anything different? Did I miss anything? I want to hear about it down in the comments. Aside from that, hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay dangerous and stay sharp.